Okay, hello everyone. Thank you all for coming. Did you have my slides? Since there are some new people here, I thought I'd go back to the introduction of the Chan, our Chan, for your reference. Typically, you have to help me out. When you see new people, maybe invite them to join the introductory section, where they can explain more about these things. But did you check your text? I asked for the Chan characteristic slides. Excuse me? It's never too late. Why don't you get those slides? So it would be helpful if you see new people to bring them to the introductory class where it's, excuse me, it's not as demanding and you can ask questions and get answers so that you get to know why we're doing this. Our Chan meditation came from, I learned this from my Chinese teacher who brought the Chinese Chan tradition, the very successful Chan tradition, Mahayana Chan tradition from China for over 1,000 years, where they produced and trained a lot of Chinese people from low level to very high level. And this Chan school here has 4 characteristics. Number 1, first of all, let me introduce what it's about. First of all, we're not a social club where you come here on the weekends in order to socialize or enjoy yourself. You have many more better options, such as watching the TV, going to the park, hitting the beach, and so forth. We cannot compete against those options. That's not what we are about. Okay. Chan meditation, why do people come here? Is in order to improve themselves. Okay, if you want to improve yourself, or you have the need to improve yourself, whether it's find a way to get more energy during the day at work, or whether it's you have some other needs, such as especially during this pandemic, where you cannot find those slides, then you have to get some help. Whether during this pandemic, where Xin, why don't you help get me some Chan slides, please, the 4 Chan characteristic slides. Yes. I have these slides prepared for different occasions. Depends on the audience. Depends on who comes. So during this during this time of the pandemic, where it is reported that people have a lot of issues, since we've been isolated, we've been worried about our own safety, our own health, our family's health, and so forth. And so the therapists reported that many of us have three types of concerns. Number one is we have depression for being isolated for so long, okay? And we also have anxiety, okay? And in particular, we also have post-traumatic stress disorders, PTSD, okay? And these are, and they say, the therapists said that these types of problems are very long-lasting. They would last up to 15 years. And they did a survey. They looked into the people who endured the 9/11 trauma, and they found out that 15 years later, they still are traumatized. They still are stressed out. They still cannot handle the anxiety that they experienced during that event. So you see, these mental issues are very, very difficult to resolve, and if you sweep them under the rugs, you're not doing yourself you're doing yourself a disservice. Okay, Daniel, is that right? I mean, if you have Daniel is a what is it, social worker? No.
I technically, my title is case management.
Translation.
It's kind of like social work, but it's not. It's a different field of social work.
Social work, but you help people who have certain needs, right?
Yes.
Okay. Particular mental needs, mental health needs.
Yes.
You find a lot of those, yes?
Yes.
A lot of cases.
Like 100%
it not only
of my clients.
afflicts the poor, but afflicts everyone. Okay? It's just that we who are not as poor have more options to disguise it and distract ourselves. But it's only latent. We still have anxiety, yes? We still cannot handle stress. We cope very poorly with stress, okay? Because we don't know how to cope with stress, okay? And we're traumatized by these events where we never really learn how to deal with these traumas that happen to us. And to put it simply, meditation is tremendously helpful in addressing these issues. Okay, so going back to my main point is that if you have needs, you have real needs, then Chan meditation can be very helpful for you in so many issues you're going to have. In fact, most of the problems I have in my entire life, okay, that I've had in my prior life, were easily resolved by my practice, my Chan practice. Okay, and so it's because this Chan here, by itself is very adept at addressing these issues. Okay, by its nature, it can very, very effectively address those issues. What is Chan? Chan is the Chan we're teaching you is kind of hardcore. It does not establish words or languages, meaning that traditionally whether the Chan meditation that was originally practiced in India, that passed on to China, and then my late Chinese teacher brought here to this country, we don't use special jargons for Chan teachings. Okay? And when we teach you Chan, we don't need to give you vocabularies, we don't need to give you glossaries and stuff like that. It's because Chan is about very simple words designed to give you instructions on how to solve your problems, how to address your needs. It's not theory. So it's about do this, do that. Don't do this, don't do that. So if you want to learn how to meditate, we tell you, learn to cross. First thing, let's take care of the fundamentals. Let's learn how to cross your legs. Okay? And the best way to sit, because the sitting meditation is the most effective way to build your concentration power very quickly. Okay? In the history of all forms of meditation, sitting meditation is the most effective by far at building your concentration very rapidly. Okay? So that's why in our Chan, the Chinese Chan, one of the Chinese Chan secrets that is no longer appreciated by the Chan teachers nowadays, okay, or the meditation teachers in general, is that we train people to sit in full lotus. Okay, that's a secret. One of the secret weapons in Chan is that sitting posture called sitting meditation. So with that, we teach you how to do that. We teach you to train yourself to do that. So those are simple instructions for you how to do them. We don't need to go into fancy Buddhist terminologies. Okay, all right. So that's why there's a difference between Chan meditation versus the Buddhist teachings. Okay, which is point number 2, meaning that the Buddhist teaching is about theory. Okay, he talks about sufferings, he talks about bliss, he talks about nirvana, he talks about the way and all those things. Okay, extinction, production, those things, those technical jargons, Buddhist concepts. No different from what is it you learn in Catholicism, catechism. You learn those things. Those are theories. Chan are actually practices, practical aspects of the theory. Okay, so in all religions, you need to have the theory and the practice. The theory is for your understanding. The practice is how to apply your understanding to your daily life. Yeah. If you learn about the theory alone, then you are what is called a scholar. You know a lot of things. You're a professor, like professors at universities. I went to grad school, MBA program, one of the top schools in the country, in the world. And we learned from these professors about marketing, about finances, about you name it, all the theory from these known professors, well-known professors, highly paid professors, very successful professors. But none of them can run a company. Okay? They can talk to you in the theories of corporate strategies and so forth, but they are incapable of telling you how to run a successful company, how to really create these multinationals, these entities, corporate entities that actually are contributing to our society, to our economy, okay, to create jobs for people. These professors cannot, because they only understand theory, but they don't know how to put them into practice. Similarly, Buddhism is the same thing. You can learn about theory, but if you don't know how to put those theories into practice, then it's not very useful. Okay? So that's why in general, Chan is the actual practical applications of the Buddhist wisdom, if you will. By doing these practices, by doing specific things, you're able to develop your own Buddhist wisdom. Okay? That knowledge on how to effectively address your needs. Okay? Because Buddhism is very practical. Buddhism is only purpose is to help you meet your needs. Okay, so that's why the Chan is actually a set of instructions, if you will, not about theories. Actually, specific instructions. Do this, do that. Don't do and do. It's don't and do. Okay, don't do and do. So those are the very, very specific instructions that are transmitted to each individual, each and every one of you. Depending on the individual, okay, they are given individually, and these instructions will change. Not only depending on the individual, but also depending on your level of skill, your skill level. Okay, so that's why it's called number 2. It's the Chan here is transmitted or conferred upon you, bestowed upon you, given to you. Okay, the formal word is transmission. Okay. Outside of the teaching, meaning that teaching here refers to the theory. Okay, so that you basically don't need to be Buddhist at all. Okay, and you can learn about the superior Buddhist practices in order to help you address your needs without becoming a Buddhist, without knowing much about Buddhism. Questions or comments? You should be chuckling right now because these 4 things are standard characteristics of Chan that all the Chan practitioners know about these. So when these Chan practitioners hear about these, the 4 characteristics of Chan, they probably know what they are, and they can. But they're so profound that every time I talk about them, it's never the same thing. If you look at the way I explain about Chan, I've been doing this for 15 years. Okay, I never said the same thing for the last 15 years when I brought up these 4 characteristics. True or not? You go back to all the tapes and the videotapes and so forth, you find out it's the case. Why is that? Because the audience is different. When I first started, my audience level is very, very low. So I talk differently. And over the years, they improved, and then more people came. And over the years, as the profile of the listeners, of the audience, changed from different from a different level of skill levels of the students, and I have to learn how to talk to you at different skill levels at the same time. At first, it's easy because I talk about Chan, so one skill level, beginners. Okay, that's fairly easy to talk about it. But now we have to keep, advanced people interested as well as beginners interested. So now the talk has to engage, to be able to engage all of you. Okay, so that's why the instructions are vary depending on the audiences. All right? So the 1 and 2 are the two pairs. Basically, it says that we don't need fancy words because there's simple instructions for you on what to do and what not to do, okay, in order to improve and develop your concentration power, okay? Meaning that the more you practice Chan meditation, your concentration is supposed to increase. You will continue to increase. All right? So this is very specific. Okay? If you want to increase your concentration, if you want to be smarter, anyone? It's never too late. You know that? Does becoming smarter, is it limited by your age? Not at all. Okay? Smarts is what? Let me give you an aspect of smarts, of intelligence. To be smart is the smart people, their minds are faster than ours. Yes or no? They're faster. You talk about something, they get it right away, or they know where you're going, okay? So smarts is actually based on a very fast mind, fast processing. The M1 chip, if you will, M2 chip, if you will, okay? That's smarts. So, you see, if they can improve the chips, so can we improve our minds. Okay? And that's the thing that's fascinating about Chan, is that as you get older, your body slows down, but a Chan practitioner's mind get faster because they improve. Can you say that in your side of the pond, sir? Black.
In my humble opinion, yes.
Translation.
In my humble opinion, yes.
Thank you. We don't quite speak the same language. So okay? So it's not just your opinion, sir. It's not just my opinion. It's that each Chan practitioner actually feels that their brains are faster. They think faster. Their mind is sharper. Yes or no? And that comes when you improve from one level of concentration to the next level. So that now you see why in Chan, when we teach Chan, we stress developing your concentration power. Because when your concentration increases, your mind is faster, meaning that when you go to work, you do a lot more work in fewer hours. It's a fact. It happened time and time again to every single Chan practitioner that I've trained. Yes, sir. Black.
A question, sir. So for Buddhists, where would they find these instructions? Either in the sutras or from you or from any other sources?
Instruction from the sutra, from a book, or from you?
Right. Okay, good question. Okay. Where do you find yours? Over your side of the pond.
Or Bible, or it could be from the priest, if he's a good priest. We could find it in books, but mostly the Bible, I could say that.
Okay. Very good. In Buddhism, okay, let me repeat for you because it's probably not clear to you. The theory are in the sutras, in the books. Okay? But the actual Chan is actual instruction that from someone. It's not in the books. Because in particular in Chan teaching, remember in Chan teaching give you specific instructions for each individual depending on your level. Okay, so for example, we tell you, for example, sit in full lotus. Okay, it's one instruction right there, but it carries different meanings for different people at different levels. Okay, so in Chan, those instructions are transmitted outside teaching, meaning it's given to you individually. Okay, that is independently of the Buddhist teaching, of the theory, of the Buddhist theory, if you will. And that's why this is not kind of thing you can find from going to universities and get a PhD in Buddhism. You will not find those instructions there. You cannot find the instructions in a book that talks about Chan. We have something called Chan Handbook 1. We're doing a Chan Handbook 2 right now. Okay, so those are generalities only, but they cannot replace the specific instructions that our instructors give you when you come and attend, when you ask us a question, when you have a question, when you have a problem, when you meditate, and say, "Oh, I meditate and I have this problem. What do I do?" Okay, so now you need solutions to those specific problems. Some people meditate by reciting the Buddha's name. Okay, and they've been doing it for decades, and they still have problems, and they don't know how to fix them. Okay, I have people I met in Korea who've been meditating for 10 years, learned from the best well-known Korean monks, and he had this problem. He went and saw all these monks, okay, and asked them how to solve them. That's very typical of us Chan practitioners. You go, you have a problem, you don't know how to fix it, you go look for a teacher and say, "How do I fix this problem?" Okay, he couldn't. No one could tell him what to do. So he came to me. Okay, this is about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, and he said, "Oh, so you were the American guy." You don't even look like American, but you were the American Chan, and you're here to teach us American style Chan. So he went along out of curiosity, but he bragged about it, said, "I've been doing Chan for 10 years now, and no one could really help me." And I said, I would, and in my mind, say, "And? Go on." And the guy stopped. Because he says, are too young. You only meditated for 25 years. I talk to people who've been doing it for 40 years, 50 years. Okay, big shots in my world, in the Buddhist world. Even they can't help me. How can you? How could you? And his problem can be fixed like this. But since he didn't ask, who am I to tell him? If I told him, he'd say, "You're an idiot, what do you know?" 2 questions. YouTube, go ahead.
Yeah. Trin asks, I feel a lot of people around me at work are smarter than me or think better at work. Is that because I'm not applying my Chan skills right?
Who is this?
So Trin,
Maybe your Chan skill level is not high enough. Keep practicing. However, there is the one thing that you have that they don't have. That is, they appear to be sharper and faster than you. Okay? But they don't know how to recover. Life, to me, half of life is about knowing how to recover when you are in trouble. For example, why do you need to recover? You get up in the morning, you're fresh, you're sharp, you're bright, you're full of energy, and towards after lunch, okay, towards mid-afternoon, you're drained. How do you recover? You don't recover. That's when I go and approach my competitor in mid-afternoon and ask them a problem. Ask them about a problem. I would hold meeting in the afternoon. Okay, when everyone's so tired, they are all drinking coffee and chewing on candies and Coke and so forth, and you are as fresh as a flower. Okay, the business, we need to be productive 24 hours a day, not just when you're productive, not when you're fresh. Okay? So, Chan enables you to recover. So, your energy level can be constant, or if you have a dip in the energy level, you can recover very quickly yourself. Okay? So, yes, of course, there are some people are smarter than us and so forth. We're not the smartest. We're not. We don't have to be. Okay. But Chan practitioners can become smarter. Chan practitioners can become better problem solvers as they improve. All right. Q&A.
A Di Đà Phật, dạ thưa thầy, xin thầy cho con giải đáp giùm con cái thắc mắc là khi mà định lực tăng lên thì phiền não có giảm hay không? A Di Đà Phật.
Master, I have a question. Whenever we increase our samadhi power, does our affliction decrease or not?
What do you think, Mr. Catholic?
I didn't hear the question.
Translation.
When our samadhi power has increased, does it mean that we're our sorrow and affliction decrease?
No.
See? The answer is yes and no. Because we can't make up our minds. We won't commit ourselves until it's necessary. Why yes? And why no? Yes, sir.
Well, this is my observation. So when people go into Samadhi, they tend to, or like even when I go to deep prayers, I tend to forget about everything, about my pains, about everything. But when I kind of recover from that, then I sometimes the pain comes back, or maybe with not that much intensity, suffering comes back or whatever. So I think that would be like you do for a moment and then it comes back only when you, but I think when you go into wisdom, when people go into wisdom, it's more permanent.
That's not from Catholicism, is it? That's from Buddhist practices. You're using my Dharma against me. That's not fair. He's right. How come he knows so much and he keeps on saying, I'm Catholic? So he's giving Catholic, Buddhism a bad name. He knows more about us than the Buddhists. How horrible this is becoming, a nightmare. Most Buddhist practitioners don't know what he's talking about. Now being a Buddhist is becoming a bad thing. Because he knows more about that, about our Buddhism than we do. I can see your ulterior motives here, okay, after all these years. Okay, let me put this way for you. Can we live with our afflictions? Afflictions are vexations, things that makes you unhappy, let's say in particular. You're unhappy about something, upset about something, or wish you had more money, or wish you're happier, or wish that your neighbor disappears. Anyone has a problem? Why? I don't get it. Why is it as soon as I move, get to move into San Jose, we open a way place, temple in San Jose, and all of a sudden I never had such bad neighbors before. And they picked on us. Okay? Okay? So the point here is that our existence is characterized by an existence of afflictions. It doesn't matter what you do. Whether you meditate, you don't meditate. Whether you recite the Buddha's name, you don't recite the Buddha's name. It's the same thing. We're afflicted. We are afflicted every day. Yes? So whether you meditate or not, you get afflicted. It's just a fact. And what he said, very accurately, is that when you're in a state of concentration that we call samadhi, you have very little afflictions. At least your afflictions are not as noticeable. That's a fact. Yes or no? Why is that? Because when you're in samadhi, it's a skill you develop, your thoughts are drastically reduced. Samadhi is like a death sentence for thoughts. You want to kill your thoughts, enter Samadhi. Like a gladiator who sticks his sword into his opponent's throat. Okay? Samadhi is like that, has that same effect on your thoughts. The deeper your Samadhi, okay, the fewer thoughts you're going to have. Like that sword that sticks in that opponent's throat a little bit, and a little bit deeper, and deeper. That's what happens to your thoughts. I know, I apologize. I forget to control my violent nature. See, that's what I do to my thoughts when I meditate. See that? Isn't that cool? You're not violent, huh? Okay, well. Okay, so that's why when you're afflicted, and you know you're afflicted, and you can do something about it, the typical person, they're afflicted, okay? They get vexed, they get angry, they get upset, and they are just a victim. They're just victims of their own afflictions. They just say, the French, I went to a French high school. It's very, very fashionable for us back then. This is a long, long time ago. French culture, tell each other, hey, by the way, j'ai le cafard. You know what that means? Huh? It's so fashionable for us young people to say, hey, today, don't call me. I don't feel like going out because j'ai le cafard. You know what it means? Cafard is a slight form of depression. So for the French people, to have a slight depression is very fashionable. I'm so above life. So I don't feel like enjoying life anymore. Because the French cultures, we live to enjoy life. So, but not today. I'm just not into enjoying life. Because I'm better. It's so French. You like it? Well, this is 40 years ago, okay? I don't know what the case is nowadays anymore in my generation. For us, it's, not today. J'ai le cafard. I don't feel like going on a drive. J'ai le cafard. Okay, so you are a victim. You feel a little bad and say, okay, I'm going to stay home and, and feel miserable. I'm a victim of my cafard, my slight depression. Okay? Whereas if you know meditation, you realize you have the cafard, then you meditate and boom, you recover. You stop being a victim. That goes for your anxiety, your depression, your whatever. Because meditation will alleviate all those types of pressure on you. Okay? And that's why meditation is not about knowledge, about the world, architecture and art and beauty and all those things. Meditation is about these knowledge and what steps you can take in order to recover, to be in control of your life and beat back depression, beat back anxiety. suppress stress. Those require specific steps on what to do, not just theory. Because the theory says, you're not supposed to be stressed out. What anxiety? Huh? Anxiety is just a concept. It's just a state of mind. All those are theories. Chan is about, what do I do to change my state of mind? What do I do to stop this state of confusion? What do I do to make my mind faster? If I need to be in meeting, and I have these bright and much brighter individuals with me, what do I do to be faster than they are, to be sharper than they are? Okay? What do I do to take advantage of their smarts? Because that's a problem. So Chan meditation, if you take to the next level, is about developing the wisdom to solve your problems. So this question earlier about a lady who says, I work in a company where my peers are smarter than I am, then why is there a problem? Use the smarts to fix the problem, to solve the problem, to come up with a better solution for the company. You don't need to be smarter than they are. You only need to know how to use their smarts. Because that in itself is a different kind of smarts. I don't need to do everything, right? You know, as you run a company, you need people who do accounting, do finances, do marketing, do sales, and so forth. Human resources and so forth. Warehousing, operations, manufacturing, etc., etc. You just have to know how to be smarter than they are and use them. You too, go ahead.
Thian asks, what could the 10 years meditation guy have said in order for Master to help him?
What 10-year meditation guy? Oh, never mind. Let me finish my point. So you see, you are, of course, life is an affliction. We have afflictions. But when we realize we have afflictions, we can meditate to suppress our afflictions, to dispel our afflictions. Okay, so that's why the answer is yes and no. You see that? Yes, because affliction is part of life. We cannot avoid it. At least I haven't figured out how to avoid afflictions yet. Because every day I get afflicted. Not you, of course. I don't know about you. Every day I realize that I'm afflicted. So yes. But no, because we can chop off the afflictions. Afflictions are thoughts. Okay? The afflictions start with thoughts. And what do we do with thoughts? We take a sword and we stick it in the throat and push and push. That's what we do. Okay? Do afflictions become more intense? Absolutely. The problem with your mind becoming stronger is that you experience everything with more intensity, whether it's negative or positive. Meaning that life is more fun and life is more miserable. You cannot just say, I want to do meditation and only experience good things in life and make it life more pleasurable, and I don't want negative things. That's not possible. Because there's no positive without negative. If you want to have more fun, it already comes with you also feel worse than before. Yes or no? Has anyone figured out how to be happier and not become more miserable? Married people, tell me. Not true? Why you look at each other? It's not true? I'm divorced, so I do know what I'm talking about. I was so happy. And then, until I feel like killing myself. All right, so that's why the afflictions swing. If they do become more intense as well as become more non-existent. All right? Any other questions and comments? Yes, sir. Black.
I could also see, like in my clients, the ones that are stuck in their own being, their own victims, they're the ones that are getting even more stuck. The ones that they snap out of being a victim, they tend to progress a lot faster than the ones that they are stuck being a victim. And sometimes, I'm not a therapist, but sometimes I have to tell them, come on, you cannot be just a victim. You have to move forward with life. But it's really hard for them to do that.
That's theory. The fact is that we can't help it. There's always things that we cannot handle, like our spouses. True or not? I don't care how smart you are. But our spouses somehow, they may not be as educated, as smart, but they somehow they figure out which button to push. And we totally are helpless. True or not? See? So, we're victims too. We can't help it. Okay? And that's why you come and learn Chan, to learn how to deal with your spouses. Because what is Chan? How can you continue to practice Chan if you don't know how to deal with your spouses? Okay? So, number 3, I only have a few minutes left, and as usual, I can never finish these things, these 4 Chan characteristics. Directly pointing at the mind. This is typical of Chan instructions. Direct, meaning that we don't beat around the bush. There's no need to embellish words. Okay? I talked to someone a few days ago, and he complained. He says, your student cracked a joke that borders on being dirty. Okay? And it's offensive to me. I find it offensive. A left-arm person shouldn't talk like that. So what did I do? I immediately use a dirty word. two of my disciples were there. They listened in on the conversation, so they're witnesses. I do have witnesses. So I used a dirty word immediately. I said, so he became quiet. So I asked, are you offended? He said, no, I'm not offended. I said, why not? You see, so he says, because you're the master. I cannot get offended at you. I say, you're full of it. Okay? So we don't beat around the bush. Directly pointing at the mind. Why did I use a dirty word? Immediately. It's instantaneous. He said, like from people shouldn't be making those quasi-dirty jokes. So I use a real dirty word. There's no quasi-dirty. Okay? What for? To point out his mind, his attachment to something called dirty. For that particular person only, but not for me. You see that? So if I beat around the bush, if I said, by the way, before I do this, I need to apologize first, okay? Because I'm going to say something that's going to offend you. I'm going to say something that's going to be so shocking to you, and so forth, okay? That's what I call beating around the bush. Just spit it out. That's called brutality. You see this? That's being direct. You don't beat around the bush. Okay? You don't waste time. Because you point out exactly, directly, where the afflicted mind, where the mind is afflicted. Does it make sense to you? Smart people may be so-called smarter than you because they're specialized in architecture. They are engineers. They can think faster in those areas, in those channels. But when you have a problem that includes multi-disciplines, they can't be that fast. They're not that agile anymore. Okay? And that's why they need an executive who's not stuck on any channels, any aspects, because he's supposed to oversee everything. Look at the big picture. Same thing. Today, I know there's two people who are specializing in reciting the Buddha's name. Okay? And that's a Buddhist practice where they don't meditate. They say, I recite the Buddha's name. I don't meditate. Meditation, okay? That's a horrible thing. You don't meditate because it's inferior. We recite the Buddha's name. And I know them for a few years now. One is at least 10 years. One is at least 4 years. And now they're coming to a chant class. Why? Because they're finding out that learning chant helps them recite the Buddha's name better. It's a fact. They improve. They've been reciting the Buddha's name better than before. You ask them. Okay? Why? Because of this number 3. We point directly to the state of mind that obstructs their recitation. Time is up. Final questions. See, there's no end. Chant is endless. So don't worry, we come back to these things. But That's all I have for you today, given this amount of time. Now, I will invite you to go downstairs and join us for lunch. Thank you all.